Earl Granville was 2 weeks into basic training with his twin brother Joe when 9/11 happened. He went on to serve 9 years in the Army National Guard as an infantryman with deployments to Bosnia, Iraq, and Afghanistan. On his final tour, he lost his left leg to a roadside bomb while on patrol. The explosion took the life of 2 of his friends, Specialist Derek Harland and Major Scott Haggerty. But for Granville, the months he spent rehabilitating would be nothing compared to the struggles he faced when his twin brother, Staff Sergeant Joe Granville, died by suicide. He went on to share, quote, "When I lost my leg, I felt so lucky to be alive. But when I lost my brother, I was a wreck. It nearly destroyed me," end quote. I've come to speak of the U.S. Constitution, but we must remind ourselves of what brings this document life, and that is the people's will to seek its fruition. We must remember that even the Soviet Union had a constitution. In fact, it included many rights very reminiscent of our own framework. Ultimately, however, these promises were empty because there was no will to enforce them. In the preamble, our Constitution promises to establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty. However, I ask you, how can any of these be true without sacrifice? Our founding fathers sacrificed for the right to put ink on that very paper itself, and their posterity sacrificed in and outside of this country for the next 200 plus years to ensure its sanctity. Without sacrifice, these words that illuminate our history are unfortunately just words. How could we ensure justice, domestic tranquility, common defense, or liberty without the dedication of our men and women who risk their lives every day for America? I ask you, how do we expect to protect the words of the Constitution without first protecting those brave souls who turn them into truth? The words "we the people" represents our freedom, but it also represents the hardships in achieving it, as shown by the story of Sergeant Granville. The preamble, a beacon of hope and aspiration, outlines a vision for a society built on justice, peace, and liberty. Yet we're reminded that these promises are hollow without the sacrifices of our men and women in uniform. Imagine the year 1787, a pivotal moment when visionaries gathered in Philadelphia, crafting a document that would shape the destiny of a fledgling nation. This Constitution, an emblem of freedom, embodies the spirit of resilience that defines us as Americans. Fast forward to the Civil War. Abraham Lincoln, in his immortal Gettysburg Address, spoke of a nation, quote, "conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal." The duty of the citizens at the time was clear: to preserve the Union, to defend the principles enshrined in the Constitution, and to ensure that a government of the people would not perish. As we traverse through history, the words of the Constitution echo in moments of trial and triumph. The suffragettes, battling for the right to vote, invoked the Constitution's promise to equal protection under the law. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial, painted a vivid picture of the Constitution as a promissory note, demanding that the guarantees of freedom and equality be extended to all citizens, regardless of race. Now, in the 21st century, our duty as citizens is no less significant. Consider the challenges we face: a global pandemic testing the resilience of our healthcare system, the divisive forces of misinformation threatening our unity, and the urgent call to address climate change echoing through corridors of power. The Constitution beckons us to be architects of solution, to stand united in the face of adversity, and to safeguard the blessings of liberty for ourselves and generations yet unborn. In the present, the Constitution remains our guiding compass. The duty to participate in the democratic process is not an abstract concept, but a call to action. We witness citizens marching in the streets not as mere spectators, but as active participants demanding justice, equality, and a more perfect union. The Constitution's call to establish justice is heard throughout courtrooms where battles for civil rights are fought. It resonates in the hearts of citizens who tirelessly advocate for policies that bridge gaps of inequality. In the present, as in the past, our duty as citizens is to ensure that the promises of that Constitution are not mere words on parchment, but lived realities for all. The call to ensure domestic tranquility takes on a new significance as we confront the complexities of an interconnected world. In an era of rapid information, citizens are tasked with discerning truth from falsehood, understanding that domestic tranquility is not a passive state, but a collective effort to foster understanding, empathy, and unity. As we provide for the common defense, we grapple with challenges that transcend borders. The preamble reminds us that our duty as citizens extends beyond our own shores. The Constitution implores us to be stewards of the planet, acting not only in our own interests, but the shared interests of humanity. The call to promote the general welfare is amplified in our current context. The COVID-19 pandemic exposed vulnerabilities in our social fabric, highlighting the imperative to address healthcare disparities, economic inequalities, and systemic injustices. Our duty is to advocate for policies that uplift the entire nation, leaving no one behind. As we delve deeper in our obligations, let us not forget those brave souls who have answered the call of duty in defense of our freedoms. Our veterans, who have borne the weight of protecting the Constitution on the front lines, often face a silent battle, a battle for mental health. The wounds of war, both visible and invisible, linger long after service is ended. According to the Council on Criminal Justice, quote, veterans are 57.3% more likely to die by suicide than non-veterans, with estimates ranging from 17 to 24 veterans dying by suicide in the U.S. each day. The duty to our veterans goes beyond mere appreciation. It demands a commitment to their well-being. We must advocate for policies that uplift all of our veterans, ensuring that none of them face their battle for inner peace alone. Because we, the people, mean something far outside of the Constitution or federal government itself. It means civil unity in the name of those principles outlined in the first words of our nation's founding. While the Constitution acts as a guideline for the operation of our government, the preamble stands out as a guideline for the people, for us. The relationship between the preamble and the rest of our founding document represents what sets America apart from every other country. And that is the symbiotic relationship between the service of the government to the people and the service of the people to each other. Today, Sergeant Earl Granville runs with a team of fellow veterans as a part of the Achilles Freedom Team, a program for wounded, ill, and injured members of the U.S. military with the end goal of entering and completing a marathon. Sergeant Granville and his teammates often take turns carrying a cinder block on their back. They name this block Cindy. And what she represents, Granville said, is, quote, the heavy mental adversity we all face as human beings. Guilt, stress, depression, anxiety, all those bad feelings that hold you down and keep you from enjoying life. When one teammate gets tired of carrying Cindy, they hand her to another. Quote, it's a reminder that no one has to carry their burden alone. We all carry it together. In these tumultuous times, the Constitution's directive to secure the blessings of liberty is a clarion call. In a time where, according to the National Civic League, quote, only 51% of Americans can name all three branches of government. Our duty as citizens is not a passive acceptance of liberty, but an active pursuit of it. We must defend against encroachments in our freedoms, champion the principles that make us a beacon of democracy, and ensure that liberty remains an unbroken chain passed down to the future. Let us embrace the dramatic narrative that is our history and present, recognizing that the Constitution is not a relic, but a living, breathing covenant that binds us together. The preamble sets in motion a principle for us as American people. Our duties and obligations are not burdens, but opportunities to shape the destiny of a nation that stands as a testament to the enduring power of liberty. May we be the torchbearers of justice, architects of unity, and guardians of freedom. As we stand at the crossroads of history, may our actions echo through the annals of time, reaffirming that unbroken chain that binds us as citizens to the Constitution and to each other. Thank you, and may our journey as a nation continue with purpose, resilience, and compassion for all.